My hands were shaking as I gripped the steering wheel, staring at the flashing red and blue lights in my rearview mirror. The morning sun cast long shadows across the empty highway, and I could feel my heart hammering against my ribs. 3 months into my probationary period as a patrol officer, and I thought I had everything figured out. I was wrong. The black SUV I'd pulled over sat silent ahead of me, its occupant waiting with an unsettling calm that made my stomach churn. Something about this stop felt different from the moment I'd hit my lights. The way the driver had smoothly pulled over, no sudden movements, no hesitation. It was almost military in its precision that I reached for my radio with trembling fingers. Dispatch, this is Unit 47. I've got a traffic stop on Highway 9, mile marker 23. Running plates now. My voice cracked slightly on the last word, and I winced. 3 months on the job, and I still sounded like a kid playing dress-up. Copy, Unit 47. Standing by. I'd been so eager to prove myself that morning. Fresh out of the academy, badge still shiny, uniform still crisp. My training officer had called in sick, leaving me to patrol solo for the first time. I'd been cruising the highway, looking for any opportunity to show I belonged on this force, when I spotted the SUV doing what looked like 45 in a 35 zone to AN easy stop. I'd thought. Write the ticket, be professional, move on. Now, studying the vehicle ahead of me, doubt crept in like ice water in my veins. The SUV was pristine, not a scratch on it, windows tinted but legal, no visible violations except the speed I'd clocked. The license plate read military base abbreviations that made my chest tight. I grabbed my citation book and stepped out of my patrol car, adjusting my duty belt with sweaty palms. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and asphalt. My footsteps seemed unnaturally loud as I approached the driver's side window. The window rolled down before I even reached it. Good morning, officer. The voice was deep, measured, with the kind of authority that comes from years of commanding respect. That I found myself looking at a black man in his late 40s, maybe early 50s. He was a big guy, broad shoulders filling out a black t-shirt. Thick neck, hands that looked like they could crush mine without effort. But it wasn't his size that made me pause. It was his eyes. Calm, intelligent, and watching me with the kind of assessment I'd only seen from my instructors at the academy. Morning, sir. I clocked you doing 45 in a 35 zone back there. I tried to project confidence, but my voice sounded thin in the morning air. License and registration, please. He didn't move immediately. Instead, he kept those steady eyes on mine. Officer, before I reach for anything, I want you to know that I'm going to move slowly and deliberately. My license is in my wallet in my back pocket, and my registration is in the glove compartment. I'm telling you this so there are no misunderstandings. The formality of his words hit me like a slap. This wasn't how traffic stops usually went. Most people fumbled for their documents, made excuses, or got defensive. This man was treating the interaction like a military briefing. Okay. Go ahead, sir. I watched as he reached behind him with deliberate slowness, every movement calculated and visible. His wallet was leather, well-worn but maintained. He extracted his license and handed it to me, then leaned toward the glove compartment with the same measured precision. When I looked at the license, my blood went cold. The address was on base housing. Military ID visible through the clear section of his wallet. And the name. I recognized it from somewhere, though I couldn't place where. Sir, are you active military? I am. His voice carried no pride, no defensiveness, just fact. That I stared at the registration he'd handed me, trying to process what I was seeing. The vehicle was registered to the same address, everything legitimate. But something in my gut was screaming that I was in over my head. What's your rank, sir? The question slipped out before I could stop it. He was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. When he spoke, there was something almost sad in his voice. Officer, how long have you been on the force? The question caught me off guard. That's not really relevant to this stop, sir. Humor me. I shifted uncomfortably, acutely aware of how exposed I felt standing on the shoulder of the highway. 3 months. He nodded slowly, like I'd confirmed something he already knew. And, this is your first solo patrol. It wasn't a question. Somehow, this man had read me completely in the span of our brief interaction. The realization made my mouth go dry. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. The words were out before I'd really thought them through. Standard procedure when you felt uncomfortable, when something seemed off. But as soon as I said it, I knew I'd made a mistake. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in the air between us. The calm authority I'd sensed became something sharper, more focused. Officer, may I ask why you need me to exit my vehicle? Am I under arrest? No, sir, you're not under arrest. This is standard procedure for traffic stops. No, he said quietly. It's not. The words hung between us like a challenge. He was right, and we both knew it. Asking someone to exit their vehicle for a simple speeding violation wasn't standard at all. It was what you did when you suspected something more serious, when you felt threatened, when you were escalating a situation that I realized I was breathing too fast, my hand unconsciously drifting toward my radio. This wasn't going how I'd expected. Nothing about this stop was going how I'd expected. Officer, his voice cut through my rising panic. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. What exactly do you think is happening here? I stared at him, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. What did I think was happening? I'd pulled over someone for speeding, a routine traffic stop that should have taken 5 minutes. Instead, I felt like I was drowning in a situation I couldn't understand. I'm conducting a lawful traffic stop for a moving violation. Are you? He leaned back in his seat, never breaking eye contact. Or are you looking for something else? The question hit me like a physical blow. Was I looking for something else? I tried to examine my own motivations, but everything felt jumbled and unclear. The morning sun seemed brighter suddenly, making me squint. Sir, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. Now, my voice was sharper than I'd intended, carrying an edge of authority I didn't feel. But inside, I knew I was making this worse with every word. He was quiet for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, he reached for his door handle. Okay, officer, I'll step out, but I want you to know something first. I waited, my hand now resting on my radio, ready to call for backup. My name is Colonel James Washington. I've served this country for 26 years. I've commanded troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've been decorated for valor under fire. And right now, I'm trying very hard to give a young officer the benefit of the doubt. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. Colonel, the rank that commanded entire bases, that answered directly to generals. And I'd just ordered him out of his car like a common criminal. As he stepped out of the SUV, his full presence became clear. He was even bigger than I'd thought, easily 6'3" and built like someone who'd spent decades staying in fighting shape. But it wasn't his size that made me step back. It was the quiet dignity radiating from him, the sense that I was in the presence of someone who'd earned every ounce of respect he commanded. Now what, officer? He asked, standing with his hands visible at his sides. What happens next? I stood there frozen, my mind racing through everything I'd learned at the academy. Colonel James Washington. The name was starting to ring bells. Now, not from training, but from somewhere else. Somewhere important. I need to pat you down for weapons, sir. The words came out automatically, procedure drilled into me during countless training scenarios. But saying them to a decorated military officer felt like sacrilege. Colonel Washington's expression didn't change, but I caught something flicker in his eyes. Disappointment, maybe. Or pity. Officer, I'm going to ask you one more time to think about what you're doing here. Really think about it. His voice remained steady, but there was steel underneath now. I'm standing on the side of a highway, in full compliance with your requests, for a simple traffic violation. What exactly do you think you're going to find when you search me? My radio crackled to life. Unit 47, do you need assistance? I fumbled for the handset, my palms slick with sweat. Negative dispatch. Still conducting the stop. Copy. Let us know if you need backup. Colonel Washington heard the exchange, and something shifted in his posture. You called for backup for a speeding ticket? I didn't call for anything. I snapped, immediately regretting the defensive tone. It's standard procedure to check on units during traffic stops. Is it? He pulled out his phone slowly, deliberately. Officer, what's your name and badge number? Why do you need that? My voice cracked again, and I hated myself for it. Because I'm going to file a complaint. This stop has gone far beyond any reasonable justification, and I want it documented. Panic shot through me like electricity. A complaint 3 months into my probationary period would be career suicide. Sir, Put the phone away. You can't record this. Actually, I can. And I am. He held the phone steady, its camera pointed at me. Officer, for the record, I was stopped for allegedly speeding. I provided my license and registration without incident. I have been cooperative and respectful throughout this encounter. Can you explain to me why you've escalated this to the point of asking me to exit my vehicle and submit to a search? I stared at him, mouth dry, realizing I had no good answer. Because he was big? Because he was black? Because something in my gut told me to be suspicious? Every reason that came to mind made me sound like exactly the kind of cop I'd sworn I'd never become. Turn off the phone, sir. No. The word was quiet but absolute. This man had probably given orders that sent soldiers into combat, had made decisions that meant life or death for hundreds of people. He wasn't going to be intimidated by a rookie cop having a power trip. That MY radio crackled again. Unit 47, we show you've been on that stop for 12 minutes. Status, 12 minutes. What should have been a 5-minute interaction had stretched into something that was about to destroy my career. I could feel everything spiraling out of control. Dispatch, I need a supervisor to my location. The words came out before I could stop them. Maybe someone with more experience could salvage this situation, could explain to me what I was supposed to do with a military colonel who was recording my every mistake. Copy, Unit 47. Supervisor en route, ETA 5 minutes. Colonel Washington lowered his phone slightly. That was a smart decision, officer. The first smart decision you've made since you lit me up. I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but every word that came to mind would only make things worse. Instead, I stood there feeling like a complete fool, watching traffic whiz by on the highway. Can I ask you something? Colonel Washington's voice was gentler now, almost paternal. What did you think was going to happen here? Best case scenario. I looked at him, this man who commanded respect by simply existing, who'd served his country with distinction while I was still in high school. I don't know. That's honest, at least. He leaned against his SUV, suddenly looking tired. Officer, I've been pulled over 7 times in the past 2 years. 7 times for minor traffic violations that somehow always require me to step out of my vehicle, somehow always take longer than they should. Do you know what they all had in common? I didn't answer, but I knew. Young officers, usually rookies, usually looking to make their mark, prove they're tough, show they can handle themselves. His eyes met mine, usually white. The words hit me like a slap. Sir, this has nothing to do with race. Doesn't it? He straightened up as the sound of another siren grew closer. Then explain to me why you escalated a simple speeding ticket into whatever this is. The supervisor's patrol car pulled up behind mine, and I felt a mixture of relief and dread. Sergeant Martinez stepped out, a 20-year veteran who'd seen everything and had zero patience for rookie mistakes. What's the situation here, officer? Martinez's voice carried the kind of authority I'd been trying to fake all morning. Traffic stop for speeding, Sarge. Driver was uncooperative. Colonel Washington's eyebrows rose. Uncooperative? Sergeant, I provided all requested documentation, answered all questions, and complied with every request. I stepped out of my vehicle when asked, even though there was no legal justification for the request. How exactly was I uncooperative? Martinez looked between us, his experienced eyes taking in the scene. Sir, may I see your identification? Colonel. Washington handed over his license. Martinez glanced at it, then did a double take. His entire demeanor changed. Colonel Washington. Martinez's voice carried genuine respect. Sir, I apologize for any inconvenience. My officer here is new, still learning the ropes. Is he learning to profile citizens, Sergeant? Because that seems to be the lesson plan today. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. I wanted to disappear into the asphalt. Martinez turned to me, his face darkening. Officer, return to your vehicle. Now. I started to protest, but one look at his expression killed the words in my throat. I walked back to my patrol car on shaking legs, feeling like a child being sent to his room. Through my windshield, I watched Martinez and Colonel Washington talk. The conversation was too quiet to hear, but Martinez's body language told the whole story. Apologetic, deferential, professional. Everything I should have been. After what felt like an eternity, Martinez walked back to my car and got in the passenger seat. You want to explain to me what the hell just happened out there? I tried to find words, but everything I came up with sounded worse than staying silent. Do you know who that man is? Martinez continued. Colonel James Washington. He runs the community outreach program between the base and our department. He's been working with our chief for 3 years to improve police-military relations. He personally recommended increased funding for our training programs. The blood drained from my face. That's where I'd heard the name, department briefings, community partnership announcements, letters of commendation that came through administrative channels. And you just treated him like a common criminal over a 5-mile-per-hour speed difference. Martinez shook his head. Jesus Christ, kid. What were you thinking? I don't know, Sarge. Something just felt off about the stop. What felt off? Hey, decorated war veteran driving to work in the morning. I couldn't answer because I didn't have an answer. Not one that wouldn't make me sound like exactly what I was afraid I might be. Martinez got out of my car and walked back to Colonel Washington. I watched them shake hands, saw Martinez gesture apologetically. Then Colonel Washington got back in his SUV and drove away. No ticket, no citation, just the memory of a rookie cop who'd let his assumptions turn a routine stop into a career-ending disaster. Martinez returned to my car one final time. You're going back to the station. We're going to have a very long conversation with the captain about what happened here, and then you're going to write a report explaining every decision you made during this stop. Every single one. As I started my engine and pulled back onto the highway, I caught a glimpse of Colonel Washington's SUV disappearing around a curve ahead of us. He was probably calling his superiors right now, probably filing that complaint he'd threatened 3 months into my career, and I'd managed to antagonize one of the most respected military officers in the region. All because I'd let my fears and assumptions override my training and common sense. The drive back to the station felt like a funeral procession. But as we drove, I realized something that would stick with me for the rest of my career. Colonel Washington could have destroyed me in that moment. With his rank, his connections, his influence, he could have ended my career with a single phone call. Instead, he'd given me a lesson, one I'd never forget. The badge on my chest suddenly felt heavier than it ever had before.